Good.
Hi.
My name is Jane Haig, and this is Dana. And today we are talking about some really, really spicy women. So, Dana, first tell us about yourself.
Sure. So my family and I, we moved here from Michigan about 2 years ago, and we're really enjoying St. Margaret's. We live up in Shiparah Park now. We have 2 Boston Terriers. They're pretty crazy. Yeah, we're enjoying it so far.
Good.
For sure.
And Noah and Beckham are...
Noah and Beckham are loving it. Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, they're having a great time.
Well,
For sure.
thank you very much for doing this.
Yes, absolutely.
Today we are talking about, and this, I love the fact that we have to pronounce these names.
Right.
Shiparah
and
Puahm.
Puahm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I read it.
Shiparah and Puahm are wonderful people. You want to talk about?
Sure.
what
Yeah.
you learned?
So, they're the 2 midwives that were tasked with killing the baby boys, but by Pharoh, and they refused, not to his face, but more in a behind-the-scenes kind of way. And I thought I love how it's entertaining to me that, I kind of assume that Hebrew women don't necessarily give child or go through childbirth any different than Egyptian women, right? But they had this thing, and I started picturing them in front of Pharoh, right? Because he's really angry and upset that these babies aren't being killed, and these women are in front of him and saying, "Oh, they give birth much more vigorously," and and it's shocking to me that he bought it, right? Because it probably isn't true, but it's just really cool the what they were willing to go through. To further God's cause, right? To really, that's the ultimate taking one for the team. Their lives were definitely at risk.
At risk. It's true.
And they were willing to do it, and that's awesome. That's commendable for sure.
Yeah, I wonder if truly if I would have had, I guess since they were midwives and their job was to give birth,
Right.
to help with the birth,
Yeah.
then to ask them also
To do the opposite of their job, right?
Yeah.
They're here to bring life into the world, and he's asking them to do the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And that's huge. So I'm sure it was scary for them, to know that they weren't going to do it and what they were willing to risk, and just really, really awesome. And I also thought it was entertaining, Pharoh, and I think this is probably the case with all leadership and rulers, or a majority throughout the world, right, being threatened because he saw them growing, right, and their numbers were increasing, and it's all about fear. This is a fear-based act, right? All he's doing is he's seeing these people that they could overtake us and they could escape out of the slavery that we've put them in. I can't have that. I need these people to be working for me. It's totally fear-based. And there's a lot in our lives, right, that's fear-based, and or out of ignorance, not understanding that they might not be here to take you over. They might not be here to overthrow you. They might be here to just live alongside of you. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, frequently though you get to people like Pharoh, and we learn later about his conversations with Moses that Pharoh was a fear-based
Absolutely
dictator. I guess that's in virtue of the name of Pharoh, means that he was total dictator. But
right.
There are times in my life when I am fearful. I have a prejudice, whether it's crowds or what. Not that I'm going to lash out, despite my sermon, but.
But fear always it makes things right. It I don't know. It's a weird thing. When you're fearful of something, you react in ways that you wouldn't normally react.
And then when Pharaoh's daughter found the baby, how amazing that she was willing to, in essence, go against her father's ruling,
right,
and protect the baby, which was known as Moses. She named the child Moses. Interesting that
very cool.
That an Egyptian woman named Moses.
Right.
It's just sort of, and then how amazing. Do you suppose Miriam saving Moses and saying, and we'll get to Miriam in a minute, but what an amazing sort of
just having the thought to say, "Oh, do you need me to have someone watch him for you?"
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, like
no,
that's incredible.
Yeah.
Seeing seeing the big picture, right? It's knowing that the mother would probably want to be reconnected with her son. And
and the fact that Moses is, that Pharaoh's daughter then said, "Fine, but bring Moses to me when he's 7 or 8."
Yeah.
Imagine her trying to explain that to her father.
Right.
Oh, by the way, Dad, I saved this Hebrew slave boy, and here he is, and I'm going to adopt him.
Yeah. And the craziest part to me is that, think about the impact, like the very small fact that she saved Moses, and then years later he was the one to turn around and lead the entire nation out of Egypt, and that's so cool. Huge impact, right? Like her one small compassion, her one small act of compassion saved Israel. You think of Miriam, you think about the Exodus and her song and dance and things like that. And the conversation that her and Aaron had with Moses about his Cushite wife, like that was a small part, right? If you read the story of the Exodus or the story of Miriam, it's like one of the parts that you kind of just read through and don't really comprehend, right? Like this is new information to me.
Yeah.
So
very much so.
But I'm just picturing it again. The Bible is so dramatic, but in a good way, right? Like you can feel God's passion and God's just his whole spirit in it. So I love to picture things that happen in the Bible because it's really easy to read about like building an ark or the fiery pillar of God, right? But when you think about it, it's like a whole other world, right? Like we have no idea what they saw. It's incredible. So like when Miriam and Aaron are giving Moses grief for marrying this woman. And like, oh, doesn't God speak through us too? Who are why doesn't He speak through? Who are you, basically? And God just getting so angry and coming down in a smoky and being angry, and Miriam gets leprosy or whatever skin disease, right? Just like this you can just see this fury of God. Why are you challenging my giving Moses this this position of speech and leadership, and it's really cool.
Yeah,
cool.
it is. I had no idea that they were punished. Well, she was punished.
Yeah, that's another thing too. I want to know what that's about.
It pointed out that Aaron really was
he
not.
Did. He got, and I'm sure he spoke just as much as she did, right?
Yeah,
of course.
Right. But it's but it. When we hear about Miriam, we hear about the little girl who saved her baby brother.
Yeah.
And we hear about the tambourine and the dance. But the fact that she got...
So maybe she had some sort of, like, attitude. Like, I helped save him, right? I put him in this basket in the water, and I coordinated to make him be able to see his mom more until he was 7 when he had to go back to the temple. Maybe she had some sort of... like she felt she was worthy of just as much leadership value as Moses because she helped save him. Yeah. She was definitely a factor in that story. I don't know.
Does that mean she felt more entitled to?
Yeah, maybe it's a sense of entitlement because because of her actions. Maybe she felt that Moses existed just because she helped save him. I don't know.
It's funny how the families then interact between Miriam, Aaron, and Moses as they go through the 40 years in the desert, and and I can see it. I can see it with Aaron and Miriam contradicting Moses in his choice of wife. Palace revolt going on.
For sure.
Yeah, a little disloyalty, a little, all right, who's with Moses and who's with Aaron or who's with Miriam. And we're part of the royal family. And it was...
Right. I think this is really cool. This is a verse about God empowering us because we're His people. Right? A lot of times people think... like when God sent His disciples to go cure people, right? Or telling them that, hey, if you have faith, you can move this mountain. You can move mountains. You can do whatever. Not like you don't need me, but you can do this, right? Like my spirit's in you, and you can do this. Don't. And that's what He said to Moses. So, in chapter 14, verse 15, He says, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move on. Raise your staff and stretch your hand over the sea." Like, why are you, don't. Like, I put you in this position of leadership, right? Go do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes, I think that sometimes it's important to remember that since God's Spirit's in us, we have the strength to do what we're asking Him to do.
Yeah.
Right? Because He's in us. He, like, the strength is right there. And so maybe we don't have to tap into Him because He's already in us. So take the strength that He gives you and do what He's asking you to do. Right?
Smile at that person on the highway or in the checkout line, or act as if I am with you already, and go do like that.
Right. You have the power.
Right. One day, we still have to continue to tap into.
Of course, yes, absolutely, for sure.